just get a chance to read Philippians for the Family Bible Time channel, so I hope you can join me there at Family Bible Time and follow along. Sorry about showing you my dirty elbow there. I wish I could record my thoughts, I wish, and sure enough, there'll be some sort of a device, I'm sure, that'll be invented where, we can stick a memory card in our head and capture those thoughts, and then we can just pull it out, stick it on our computer, and boom, there it is. Boy, that'd be great. If somebody was working on that invention, I'd sure like to get one. Because, sometimes the Lord brings things to mind, and then I turn the camera on, and then it's like, whoosh, it's gone, But I realize, sometimes these things aren't meant for the masses, it's a challenge to me a lot of times to not catch these things from the Lord and then deflect them right away, but to let them sink in. But the Lord just showed me something here. Okay, last Saturday morning, or whenever it was, one morning I woke up and I was thinking about the woman taken in adultery. And the Lord showed me some cool stuff, and I wanted to make a video right away, but the events of the day just carried on. And okay, so back. Okay, on with the story. Jesus went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again unto the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. It's always Jesus, they're always coming to him, Jesus allowed the people to come to him. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery, and when they had sat her in the midst, they say unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned, but what sayest thou? What sayest thou? And they said, tempting him, that they might have to accuse him. But Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he heard them not. Now, this is the thing I noticed. The people came to Jesus and he started to teach them. Now, it doesn't say, it says, and the scribes and Pharisees brought in a woman taken in adultery. So they brought this in public, right out in front of everybody. Here she is. What are you going to do about it? So that's important because it says here in just a little bit that Jesus, it was just her and Jesus. So I never thought about that before. Everybody booked out of there, I guess. But they brought this woman to the wrong person, boy, let me tell you. Because Jesus was the almighty and is the almighty righteous judge. And he knows all men's hearts. And this is why Jesus was able to say, he that is without sin cast the first stone. People use that phrase foolishly these days when they have no right to use that phrase because only Jesus knows people's hearts. We can't say this casting stones thing because we don't know people's hearts. You're casting stones, you're being a judge. Well, you don't realize when you tell somebody they're being a judge, you're being a judge? They said, tempting him that they might accuse him, but Jesus stooped down and with his finger wrote on the ground as though he heard them not. My brother-in-law has an interesting take on this when he preaches, and by the way, you can see him at the QHBC here on YouTube, a channel called the QHBC. And he supposes that maybe Jesus wrote down and stooped on the ground and started writing sins of each of those people, those Pharisees that brought the woman. Maybe he wrote down lying, stealing from the treasury, whatever. Maybe that's the kind of stuff he was writing. And those people knew he was nailing their sins there. So when they continued asking him, he lifted up himself and said unto them, He that is without sin among you, let him first cast a stone at her. And again he stooped down and wrote on the ground. Now it must have been for quite a period of time, Because it says, and they which heard it, being convicted by their own conscience, went out one by one, beginning at the eldest. Now this is a pretty interesting little addition too. Beginning at the eldest. It's interesting. And even to the last. It's not included even the people that, I guess, came to hear his teaching. And Jesus was left alone. Yep, there's the confirmation. And the woman standing in the midst, when Jesus had lifted him up himself, saw none but the woman. He said unto her, Woman, where are those thine accusers? Hath no man condemned thee? Isn't it interesting how much Jesus had patience with the unsaved, more than the supposed religious folk? And that's the way I try to be here on YouTube also. You know, I get folks coming to me quite often, standing in judgment over me. And Lord willing, I'm going to not be afraid, and I'm going to point some of those folks out here in the coming whenever, Lord willing. She said, No man, Lord. And Jesus said unto her, Neither do I condemn thee. Go and sin no more. Isn't it interesting Jesus didn't give her the plan of salvation or tell her about his death on the cross and all that? He knew. See, no condemnation. He knew her heart. He knew that she was searching after him. I don't know, you know, what she knew of Jesus or any of that, but she sure didn't respond to those Pharisees. And you know what? Here's what something that the Lord made me realize. You know, those guys were wasting their time doing a little peep show action, concerning themselves with this woman's sin, and they thought to stand an accusation that they brought her to the wrong person, like I said. They brought her to the one who could see beyond her sin and her flesh and see into her soul. And Jesus didn't condemn her for what she was doing in the flesh, because she was mindless spiritually. She did that because she was under bondage of the flesh. But her soul was crying out for God. And they really kind of did her a favor by bringing her to the right person, but they didn't do themselves no favor, because Jesus was not impressed by their self-righteousness. Jesus responded to the sinner. And if you're on YouTube railing against some folk who don't know better because they're unsaved, or they're lost and they think they're saved, and you're out there badgering those people and trying to straighten them out, you're like the doggone Pharisees that Jesus had no respect for. Your self-righteousness to God are as filthy rags. Jesus said, Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Those of you whose lives are a mess, like the woman at the well. She was looking for love in all the wrong places. Jesus met her. So cry out to Jesus. Jesus will come to you. And if I can help, I would love to also.